Good morning. My name is Maud Wedu, and I'm standing in for Mr. Dakwe today. I've been nominated by Mr. Dakwe. As project lead, we'll be having a deep dive into the topic business development for MSMEs. Now, about the product, we have the MSME Recovery and Resilience Program, and it focuses on helping businesses that have been affected by the COVID 19. And some of our objectives are to increase the operational capacity of MSMEs, especially women owned businesses, also restore MSMEs to operating at or above pre COVID levels. We are also interested in supporting MSMEs' capability to sustainably diversify businesses to enter new markets as well. Now, these are our program partners, and here are their roles. We have Pixera Global. Pixera Global is interested in implementing partner, providing coordination, also stakeholder management, monitoring and quality control, and other capacity building efforts. We also have MDF West Africa that focuses on digitization and virtual resources, as well as provision of other business development services. We also have JA Venture Capital, that is a financial management and restructuring. um, they provide financial management and restructuring of financial audit, branding, training, and advisory support. Then Scale Up Africa. They provide business development services with a gender and youth lens targeting agric, artisanal, and community-based MSCs with a high rate of female participation. And lastly, we have Global Mamas. They offer technical training to women-owned businesses in specific areas, including gender equity, ethical production, smart incentives, quality control, goal setting, and self-care. Now, about JA Venture Capital, who are we as a firm? We are a strategy development and management consulting firm with a dedicated in-house legal, that is audit, organizational development and governance, also management consulting. We look at strategy and business restructuring, growth and development. We also do auditing, financial and accounting, and investment readiness. We also check investment readiness of our clients. We also develop financial institutions and retail clients. And through our baseline management and business model audits, assessment, organizational business restructuring, and revenue optimization, business growth dashboard, project development, project implementation, we help clients to develop projects. We provide them with business development, restructuring, advice, and investment readiness support to Africa's promising micro and small medium enterprises. Now, what is our mission here at JA Venture Capital? We are a partner of choice for clients who seek to develop and implement projects, clients who also need business development, advisory and restructuring, and investments to Africa's promising micro, small, medium enterprises. Now, why we do what we do, that is our vision, is not just see our clients thrive and succeed, but it's because we love what we do and we aspire to become the leading go-to business development, advisory, impact investment firm. Some of our values include integrity, over and above service, people and care, beyond the possible. And at JAVC, we focus on results and not effort. So we are going to get much more in detail into the topic, which is business development for MSMEs. So business development is the creation of long-term value for an organization from customers, market, and relationships. And business development can be taken to mean any activity, either by a small or large scale organization, whether a non-profit or profit organization, which serves the purpose of developing the business, and not just the business, but every other aspect of the business, every other unit or department that includes sales and marketing, accounting, human resource, legal, etc. So the context and goals, what the core functions of business development affect. When business development is done well, it affects the financial performance of a company. It also causes customer growth and gives you insight into your customers. It also improves and creates company internal working processes. That is your service offerings, your approaches, also, when business development is done well, the workers or the staff are more likely to learn and grow in the company. And in our local market, it acts as a bane for product development in the absence of a research and development department. Now, the strategy, every business development manager must be very aware of the significant tools to advance its company's objective. Business development is important. It is important that every manager of a firm is aware and abreast with what goes into developing your business and developing units of the business. So management audit as a tool is to check and measure the company's health. That is to check the top line and bottom line. You check the key products of the company. And also we look at key man risk. Key man risk is when the company revolves around one person. That means that if that person is not around, the business is likely to fail. And also checking processes and controls. And management audit must not be mistaken for financial audit. We can say that financial audit is a part of management audit, but financial auditing is not all there is to management audit. So in management audit, you also want to keep an eye on your finance. Now, you also want to look at business model. How would you differentiate yourself in the market? If the market is saturated, how do you stand out? We also look at customer analysis and targeting approach. What is the approach you need to target the right audience? Because you can't use every marketing tool to target any client at all. Every client or every market has a specific way they have to be targeted. So you look at that as well. Key working documents for proposal generation. Proposals should be readily available, maybe investment proposals or any other proposals. They should be readily available and easily accessible as well for a company. You look at client feedback reporting, market analysis leading to product ideation, and forecast on revenue. We also have recommendation reports and reporting formats for various lines as a communication with management on key actions needed on processes. We also have the tools trove. Now, the tools trove has to do with having one single space or having a reliable place where you keep all the important documents of the firm. And we usually recommend Google Drive, a place where you can get access to all the resources that the firm has to offer. Then note, the business development unit is, in the absence of marketing department, acts as sales representatives, but it must not be mistaken for sales. So many of us think that marketing or business development has to do with just sales, but sales is a part of your business development because it has the whole strategy of even developing the staff, making sure that the staff is learning and growing, building your team and all that. So it's not just about sales, but sales is a part of business development. So it is important to note that business development is strategy and execution, including sales, but not sales. So business development is not just sales. Now, things we have to note. When it comes to business development, we look at strategy development. What strategy would work best for your firm? And you have to also assess your company, assess the strengths, the weaknesses of your company. You need to analyze the finance of your company. How well is your company doing financially? And business model analysis You look at how you can differentiate in the market, and investment risk report, business audit report, and tools to develop. We have cash flow valuation report, etc. Now, when it comes to market development, you want to look at market profiling and introduction and pricing analysis. At what price is your customer willing to pay for your product and your services? And we also have competitor analysis. It is important to look at what the weaknesses of your competitor and you capitalize on that, because that is one way you can stand out as an industry in a saturated market. Also, lead generation and facilitation. How do you attract new prospects? How do you attract new clients? And how do you make them interested in the product or service that you have to offer? We have corporate introduction and meeting coordination. This has to do with how you open deals, how you close deals, how you settle on deals, etc. And customer profitability analysis has to do with checking what customer brings in the most profit and what customer um, actually creates cost for the firm, because some customers, to attract them, it comes as an extra cost for the firm. And so the profit you get from the customer does not, let me say, commensurate with the cost you incur in attracting that customer. So you have to check your customer profitability, which customers are bringing in more profits for the firm. And then project management for every when it comes to business development, you would need certain projects and you have to focus on developing the project first and foremost. And you also have to coordinate tasks among stakeholders. You need to assign tasks to every person or every stakeholder on the project. So that is coordination of tasks among stakeholders. You have to manage project execution. After outlining the task for your um, for your stakeholders, you need to actually execute the task. So you don't just leave it at outlining the task. You have to also implement strategies to execute the task. You also have to supervise and assist in the delivery of technical and financial proposal. And lastly, ensure that everything is in line with requirements. Now, things to continually analyze when it comes to business development, you need to continually check the performance of the company, the performance also of the team, the growth performance, etc. You need to continually analyze because it would help you to make decisions. Also, you have to check departmental reflections, whether micro or small accounts or sales units. So you have to keep an eye on how well each and every unit or department is doing. So the sales department, the HR department, you have to keep looking at that. And where you need to improve, you do that. You have to also look at highlights and low lights of each month. So in every month, there is something that, let me say, is the highlight of the firm, maybe a big break or something. You need to analyze all those things and also need to look at the part or the point in the month where you had, let me say, incurred losses or just, there were some losses. Key departmental recommendations also, you need to analyze those things. Now let's go to project development approaches to use. Identification of projects and project bidding. Now, when it comes to this, you need to look at the quality of people that you are bringing in and then the cost-based analysis. When it comes to projects, the quality of people that are to work on the team is really important. You also have to look at the cost that will be incurred in carrying out the project. You also need to look at the development of responses to terms of reference and emergency projects and project initiation and methodology. What is going to be the budget for implementation? Now we have fixed cost pricing and budget and full budget. Fixed cost pricing has to do with how much you're paying on deliverables, and full budget has to do with everything together, cost of personnel, everything that is incurred in carrying out that project, and project implementation plan. Now you need to sit down and draft how you're going to execute that project. What is the step-by-step implementation plan of that project? It's really important to have a plan for your project. And finally, implementation. Now, this is where you actually execute the project. So you don't just leave it at planning, you take steps to implement the projects as well. Now, people to strategize about, this is called the decision making unit. And every company or every firm has all these players in their environment, in their business environment. So we have the buyers, the decision makers, the influencers, the initiators, the user, the gatekeeper. All these people are important, and you need to strategize. You need to come up with strategies that will target all of these people or keep all of these people in the firm. It is important to note here that not all buyers are users. So the way that you target the buyer is different from the way that you target a user. Example, a mom goes to the market to buy baby food. She is the buyer, but she's not the user of that product. So in this case, the baby is the actual user, the mom is the buyer. How do you even attract the mom who is the buyer to your product and services? So you have to look at people who make decisions, people that influence people to actually make purchasing decisions. How do you develop a strategy around influencers and initiators? Then users, gatekeepers, we have people that have first-hand information when it comes to certain products and services. They don't always use the product, but they have a level of knowledge about what to do on the product or service. Then we are going to look at the general economic environment and impact on businesses. Currently, revenue is dwindling. When it comes to direct contact business, we can see that revenue is dwindling because so many people now are into online businesses and ordering online. Some use codes to, they are not buying at the time, but they use codes to, for their next sale or their next purchase. So that as well. We have disruption in credit cycle for businesses. Also, operational cost has increased and possible liquidity issues and no contingency plan. So here are the solutions to each and every one of the issues based. So when it comes to debt restructuring, how will you solve the issue of debt restructuring? You have to negotiate with financial institutions to pursue settlement on interest payments due or to be frozen or deferred for some time to help improve cash flow for the business. So sometimes we want to wait to gather money before actually settling the debt, and also reevaluate products with least revenue and take a firm decision. Now, not all products in the product line are going to be of equal profitability. Some will make much more profit or bring in much more revenue than others. So you have to analyze the performance of each and every one of your products and look at the ones that are performing well and also the ones that aren't performing well. You can cut off those products with you can cut off those products or improve on those products to fit into the changing market sphere due to the impact of COVID-19. Also, consolidation of financial reports. How do you consolidate financial reports, proposals, and business development? We look at liquidation of not needed assets. So if you have your firm and you want to, if you have your firm, there are certain assets you may not be using at that particular time. So at that time, it is important for you to liquidate those assets so that you can reinvest the money into running the business. You don't always have to keep all your assets, whether they are in use or not. Sometimes it is important to liquidate to provide cash for your business. And digital marketing to improve reach. Now we are in a social media era, so as you go about your business, you also have to think of how you can target people online on social media. You need to you need to study how people on social media respond to ads. You need to study the behavior of social media buyers and inculcate that into your business development strategy. So it's important to also run ads on social media to improve sales, because now we are limiting the um, face-to-face business, and we are more into online businesses. Now, when it comes to strict skills development of the staff, you need to make sure that your staff is continually learning and improving. So you want to put them on a strict regimen or routine so that they can learn. You need to push your staff to continue to learn and continue to grow, because the market is always changing. And so your staff needs to learn to meet the growing changes or demands in the market. And lastly, for cost rationalization, you need to change salary structure to reflect productivity. So if the output from the business is not or doesn't match up to how much you are putting in, asking how much you are paying your staff, there is the need for you to analyze that and see how you can cut down on the expense, the cost expense or the salary expense, to improve productivity or increase profits for the firm. Also, workers that are bringing or workers that are more productive should be given incentives so that they will be encouraged to do more. And lastly, equity options as payment structure to help save cash for the business. We also have maximizing the opportunities offered by different agencies to support businesses during these difficult times. So you have to make good use of opportunities by NGOs and also government agencies through training and support for small and medium-sized businesses during this time, like this MasterCard Foundation project. So now we are wrapping up, but then there are some important things that we need to remember. Business development unit, as already mentioned, is not just sales, or in the absence of marketing department, act as sales representatives, but it must not be mistaken for sales. You can play those dual roles, but it isn't a core function for sales. So it is important to remember that business development is not just sales, but it includes every other strategy that will build every other unit in the business. And business development is strategy and execution, including sales, but not sales. Also, you have to re-examine products and services that contribute the least revenue. You have to check which product is performing well and which products are not performing well in your product line, and see what ways you can improve on the products that are not performing well. And also you have to remember cost rationalization. How is the input equal to or less than the output, that the profit we are getting out of the business? Is the cost we are incurring in running the business okay when we look at the profits we are making from the business? And you have to improve on digital systems, culture, and productivity. This is very important. Digital, because we are in a digital environment right now. So you want to digitize most of your operations as a firm. Also check your culture and the productivity as a firm. And should you require tools for any of the points mentioned above, kindly send us an email. So you can send the email to info@javenturecapital.com. Thank you very much. Okay, so I would like to go through the presentation again for those who joined later. Okay, so the project is the MSME. Okay, the MSME Recovery and Resilience Program, and this focuses on offering support for businesses that have been impacted by the COVID-19, especially micro, small, and medium scale businesses. And our partners are Pixera Global, MDF West Africa, which is into digitization, online and virtual resources, and provision of other business development services. We also have JA Venture Capital, which is into financial management, financial audit, branding training, advisory support, and as well as Scale Up Africa. We also have Global MAMIS. So these are our sponsors for the program. Now, JA Venture Capital is a strategy development and management consulting firm, and we are dedicated to in-house legal management consulting, management audit, investment readiness. Our mission as a company is to be a partner of choice for clients who seek to develop and implement projects, who need business development and advisory and restructuring. Also, they need investment to Africa's promising micro, small, and medium enterprises. And why we do what we do is not just see our clients thrive, but also to become the go-to business development firm in the world. Now, values. We value integrity over and above service, people, and care beyond the possible. And at JA Venture Capital, we are focused on results and not just effort. So a bit of a background into what we have been discussing so far. We are looking at business development, and we said that it is the long-term value for is the creation, how you create long-term value for your customers, your market, and relationships. And it can mean any activity that is centered on developing the business or unit of the business. And the core functions of business development, if done well, it affects your financial performance positively. Also, you see growth in your customers, and it improves and creates company internal working processes. It facilitates learning and growth, especially in your team. And when it comes to strategy, we have management audits as a tool to measure companies' health. We also have business model analysis, and that is how you differentiate your company from the rest, especially in a saturated market, and your customer analysis and targeting approach. We have recommendation reports. We have the tools tool. And as said earlier, the tools tool is finding a single space or an easily accessible space where you can keep all of the firm's resources so that they are not haphazard. They are all kept in one place so that you can easily reach for them. That is the tools tool. And we usually recommend Google Drive. So we also talked about some strategies to note. Business development, you have to develop the strategy. You have to assess the company. You have to assess the company. You have to analyze your finance. You also have to create a comprehensive business plan. What is the business about, and what steps are you taking to make profit for the business model analysis, and all that. Also, one strategy is the market development. Market development has to do with market profiling and introduction, pricing analysis. Not every price is suitable for every market, so you need to check what price your customers will be willing to buy or pay for your products and services. Competitor analysis, you check the strengths and weaknesses of your competitors, where they fall short, and you try to capitalize on that. We also have lead generation as part of market development. Lead generation is how you attract new prospects into the firm who would buy your products and services. Now let's move on to project management. When it comes to project management, you need to develop the project and outline tasks that will be necessary to carry out the project. You also have to manage the project to ensure that it has been well executed, and you have to supervise the execution of the project. Lastly, you have to ensure that everything is in line with requirements. And things that we have to continually analyze when it comes to business development. You need to check the performance of the business, performance of products, of staff, and everything else that it forms part of the business. How well are they performing? Also, you have to check how departments and units in the business are doing. Each of them, HR, sales, legal, marketing, how are they all faring? And the highlights and lowlights of every month and key departmental recommendations. Also, project development approaches to note, identification of projects and project bidding. When it comes to identification of projects, you want to consider the quality of people you are bringing in on board or to form the team and cost-based analysis, development of responses to emergency projects, project initiation and methodology, budget for implementation, what budget would be workable for what you have set out to do, project implementation plan, and then the implementation or execution itself. Now, we also spoke about the decision making unit, and we said that you have to come up with strategies that will target each and every one of these each and every one of the components of the decision making unit. And we also mentioned that not all buyers are users of the product. So there's a way you target a buyer, and then there's a way you target the user. And we gave an example that if there is a mom goes to the market to buy baby food for her child, she's not a user of the product, but she's the buyer of that product. So the way you have to couch your marketing message or promotional message in a way that would attract the buyer to buy your product and services. And now we are looking at the scope, what's how the economic environment is looking like right now. We can see that there is the face-to-face businesses have reduced. Now more people buy and sell online. Also, the disruption in credit cycle for businesses, increased operational costs have increased, possible liquidity issues, and then no contingency plan. So these are the solutions to the problems that we face. When we come to debt restructuring, how do you go about it? One way is to negotiate with financial institutions to pursue settlement on interest payments or to freeze or defer for some time to help improve cash flow for the business. When it comes to re-evaluating products with least revenue, you want to check which product is doing well in your product line and which ones are not doing well. And if you have to improve on any of them, you do that. Also, we have consolidation of financial reports, proposals, and business development. Liquidation of not needed assets to reinvest into marketing and product development. So if there are assets that you don't need at the time, you can liquidate them to provide cash for the business for its day-to-day expenditure. We go to digital marketing and improving reach. How do you improve reach? It is necessary now for you to set up e-commerce platforms for your business. You need to get on social media. You need to be on maybe Instagram, Twitter, any of these social media platforms because their users increase on a daily and you want more exposure for your business. You can also use influencers to market your products. They tend to have a larger reach than some businesses, so they can promote or put your product in the face of the customers so that the customers are aware of your product. And strict skills development programs that affect productivity and efficiency. You have to make sure that your staff, the people on the team, are continually learning. They are on a strict routine or strict regimen that pushes them to learn all the time to grow because the market keeps changing. And so these people need to continually learn and meet up with the changing demands in the market. And lastly, we have cost rationalization. The inputs and then the outputs. Is it feasible when you look at the salary structure? Does it commensurate with the output or the profit that you are getting? Also, you need to make sure that you are giving incentives to workers with really high outputs. Now, maximizing the opportunities offered by different agencies to support businesses during this difficult time. So, Mastercard Foundation Project is one of them, and there are so many opportunities by NGOs and government agencies that offer trainings and support for small and medium-sized businesses. So, finally, the things to note or the things that you need to remember from this presentation is business development is not just about sales. Sales form a part of business development. Business development is a whole strategy of which sales is included. So when you want to come up with a business development plan for your company or your firm, you need to consider all these things that we have mentioned and not just sales. So business development is strategy and execution, including sales, but not sales. Also, you need to examine products and services that contribute the least revenue. Sometimes you need to cut off certain products because they cost more to produce and then they bring in less revenue. So you have to examine those products and services. You either cut them off or you can improve on those products. And then we have cost rationalization, which we have already spoken about, has to do with the input and then the output. Is the output better? Does the output sound feasible when you look at the inputs, the salary structure, the expenses incurred, and all of that? Lastly, you have to improve on digital and you have to improve on your digital systems and culture as well as your productivity. You need to make sure that you are getting some online education to actually help you to market your product online. You need to look at the culture of your business. What culture? There are certain kinds of culture that cannot be introduced in certain work environments. So you need to see what works for your customers or your staff and what doesn't work. And this is the end of the presentation. So if you need any tools for any points mentioned above, kindly send us an email. You can send the email to info@javenturecapital.com. Thank you very much. And I hope we picked one or two important tips from the presentation. Thank you.